Hey au pairs, it's Graham. A big welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to be answering some of the most common questions regarding the matching process. This video was suggested to me by a follower, Darcy, who just so happens to now be my friend, and she gave me a few questions, and I'm adding some of the questions that you guys send to me over on my Instagram. So if you would like to give me any video suggestions or any questions, be sure to go and follow me over on my Instagram, as I check that every day. Matching with the host family can definitely be one of the most daunting aspects of au pairing. There's a lot of uncertainties in the process. If you're curious as to what questions you should be asking potential host families, I've made a whole nother video about this that I'll put right up here. But in this video, I'm going to be addressing questions that you might have regarding the matching process. And if I don't answer any questions that you have, feel free to drop them in the comments below. When you are doing video interviews with host families, these could go from anywhere, I'm gonna say 1 video to as many as 3 or 4. The big thing here is you really wanna make sure that you are very thorough and that all of your questions about these families are going to be answered. One of the things that I like to do is send the host family some basic questions over email or WhatsApp. This is going to be the questions that are gonna let you know if you actually want to live with these people. If you like the responses, set up a video interview, and again, have some questions in mind that you want to ask them and watch their expressions. If you like the first video interview, I would go ahead and set up another video interview, perhaps talking to the kids or asking any questions that you forgot in the first interview. In that second interview, I would be a bit more specific about things, like if you forgot to ask about certain details or intricacies of the stay. All in all, I think you should have at least 2 interviews with the host family, one where you're talking mainly to the host parents about the job, and then another one where you're talking with the host parents, but also talk with the kids. Make sure they actually want an au pair, because if they're not interested, if you can see in the video interview that they don't want you there, that is a big red flag that that's probably not the host family for you. So my answer to this is a minimum of 2, but probably no more than 3. This is kind of difficult because it depends on person to person, but I would say don't go with the first family that offers you a job. In my very first au pair experience, I think I messaged some 14 different families and actually did interviews with maybe 7 or 8. But the thing is, after my very first interview, the first au pair interview I ever had, I was convinced that that family was right for me. After my second interview, I was convinced that that family was right for me. You get what's happening, and that second family did end up being right for me. But you get what I'm saying here. If you've never experienced something, you don't really know what to expect. It's kind of like your first kiss. You probably think it was really good until you had your second kiss. So to answer this question, I would say you should interview anywhere from 2 to 3 families before making your decision. But of course, if you do talk with the first family and you know for certain that they are the right family for you, then go ahead and make your decision. Unequivocally, yes. I think being clear, being transparent is so important with your host parents, and that's always something I appreciate in return. I always let them know if I'm talking with other people, and I think it's really good if they let me know that as well. That way I can have a bit of an expectation as to what the future is going to hold. Overall, the more transparent you can be, the better. So be overly transparent and do let them know if you're talking with other families. If you are about to go into your au pair interviews and you're wondering, what should I do? How should I prepare for this? This answer is going to be just right for you. I think when you're preparing for the interviews, you definitely don't want to over prepare, meaning you shouldn't be preparing as if you're about to interview for a $200,000 a year job. Remember, you're an au pair. You're going to be living with these people. So don't just go crazy. Don't wear a suit and a tie if you're a guy. Don't wear a fancy business suit if you're a girl. Go relaxed and definitely make some preparations, but don't go overboard. Some of the things that I like to do is have a little spreadsheet about the family. I actually did an interview just last week, and you can see I wrote on some post-it notes here just a few notes about the family, the kids' names, their ages, where they live, very basic information. That way I'm not mixing things up. Also, during the interview, I think it's a good idea to write down what the host family is saying. That way you won't forget it later. So the short answer for this is definitely know some basic facts about the family, but don't go crazy. Be spontaneous, let them see the real. Like I said earlier, I think it's better to generally wait a little bit to try out other families, but if you do talk to a family and you know for certain that they are the right family for you, then go with it. I talk to way too many au pairs who are having issues with their host parents, and when I ask how they settled with their host family, they tend to tell me that that was just the first family that offered them a job and they went with it. So shop around. As an au pair, you have the right to look around, to consider other jobs, and don't go with the first thing that catches your eye. If you talk with other families and you still like that original family, then go for it. But otherwise, just be really cautious. This is definitely something you should be doing. If you do an interview and you just talk with the parents, you should 100% do another interview to where you meet the kids. This is so important, and try to have a little conversation with the kids. Ask what their favorite color is. Ask what they like to do, what they like to eat, their favorite subject in school. You know, they're kids. Just ask basic questions, but you want to make sure they're interested in you and they're not just completely nonchalant. If the kids are opposed to having an au pair, it's going to make your life so much more difficult, so you definitely want to make sure that they are at least somewhat interested in you and interested in what you have to say. As for speaking to the former au pair or au pairs, I think that is so important. I just interviewed with the host family that I really liked, and I spoke with their former au pair and he said great things about them. So be sure to ask for references. Don't be afraid to ask to speak to their former au pairs, and if they don't want to let you talk to them, that's a big red flag. So talk to the kids, talk to the former au pairs. This question is really difficult to answer because I think it just depends from person to person. But for me, I know when I find the right host family when we have good chemistry. I know that sounds kind of weird, but if you're talking with a family and you just seem to click, you seem to match with them, you seem to understand them, understand what they're saying in a deep sense, then that's a good sign that they're probably the right family for you. Over my several au pair experiences at this point, I have talked with over 40 different host families.
Over 40 different host families.
I can tell you that the vast majority of them, I'm gonna say 30 out of 40, don't really interest me. But that 10 out of 40, the 25%, generally will catch my eye. Maybe it's something they say, something they do, their routine, where they live. Something will catch my eye in that, and then once I have those options narrowed down, I tend to go point by point. In the past, I think over on my Instagram, I mentioned one day playing au pair bingo. So this is essentially where you set up a point system. So over here on the y-axis, I like to write things that are important to me. So location, number of kids, amount they're paying me, days off, etc, etc. On the top, I like to write the names of the host families. So if I'm having a hard time picking between 2 or 3 families, I go down on this list and I give the host family 1 point or a half a point for every single box. And the family that ends up with the most points is the family I picked. Also, if you're having a hard time picking a family, say it's between 2 families, toss a coin in the air, and when the coin is in the air, you'll know exactly which family you want to go with. My answer to this is a resolute yes. Absolutely, you should talk with your friends and family before you pick a host family. They are the people that know you the best. They know what you like, they know what you don't like. Your family probably knows more about you than you know about you. So be sure to ask their opinion on this because they might catch something that you miss. Or maybe they say, hey, you seem really excited about this family and not so much about this one. When it's possible, I like for my mom to sit in on my au pair interviews just because I think having a second set of ears to listen and a second set of eyes to watch can be so beneficial. Afterwards, we'll talk about it, we'll say what we liked, what we didn't like, and I know it seems mundane and unimportant, but having that second opinion really has gone a super long ways towards helping me pick a family, especially in the beginning when I wasn't really so sure. The short answer to this is definitely bounce ideas off your friends and family because they are gonna be the people that love you the most and they're gonna help you the most. So yes, yes, yes. This can be really awkward because nobody likes rejection. There's been a couple times where host families have messaged me and said, hey, we really liked you, but we're going with another au pair. And that hurts. It really hurts. That stings. So rejection is never easy and being rejected is never easy. If you tell a host family that you don't want to live with them, that can be a really delicate thing. My big suggestion is if you've interviewed with a family and you just decide you're not a good match, which you'll probably know during the interview, just be honest with them. Tell them the truth. I'm gonna read you a message that I sent to a host family just about a month ago where I rejected them, just so you can get a bit of an idea. I tend to just copy and paste this message whenever I send them out, so it's normally the same pretty much every time. Hello, X person. I hope y'all are having a good week. After a lot of thinking and talking with my family, I've decided to pursue other options. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me, and I wish y'all the very best of luck in the future. I'll be sure to let you know if I find myself in Y city in the future. Thanks, a big hug, Graham. So in the politest way possible, I essentially told them that I was just pursuing other options, and I think that's a perfectly fine thing to say. Sometimes the host families have actually asked me why I'm not interested, and I tell them the truth generally. I tell them the reason why I'm not interested. So if that does happen, just be honest with them. Tell them the truth, and I think they'll understand. I think the biggest thing in any exchange, pretty much any social interaction, is just honesty. Be open and honest with these host families. That starts you on a good foot that will, I think, carry you through the whole experience. So honesty and communication are probably the two most important things, even when you're rejecting a family. Be kind, be graceful, don't just ghost them, be a decent person, and remember, it could happen to you too, so treat them in a way that you would want to be treated. Okay guys, so these are pretty much all the questions I had from you guys, from my friends, from myself that I have pulled together over the years. If you have any more questions, drop them in the comments below or send me a DM over on Instagram. Thank you so much for watching. New videos come every week. Muchas gracias y hasta luego. Ciao.